Welcome to the Hard Rock Show Deep Cuts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Mick.
I'm Tim.
Oh, we didn't do it. We didn't plan that one normally. We didn't plan it. I think everyone got through just in time, so it's all right. This is the weekend edition of what we do, which is where we go through some sort of deeper cuts and go a little bit not so new and just sort of try and find some interesting stuff to talk about. So tonight we have coming up for you reviews of the latest from Alarum, Marko, Hietala, and Lamb of God. We'll have a hot topic in a second, which we'll get to as well. But make sure you are following us. All of our details are at the screen right now. So check out our socials, all of them, and follow us wherever you can. If you give us some support via Patreon, that would be greatly appreciated. And we also have some sponsors to thank, our wonderful sponsors in Squidding, Screen Printing, Old Colt, and Rockstar Finance. Thank you for your support. Please do go and check them out. Even just giving them a follow on their social is a great way to show them that you're following us and following them by supporting that sort of thing for us as well. Yeah, we're going to fly through this one, I think, tonight. Just quickly before we do, how's everyone going? It's only been a few days since I've seen most of you, so how's everyone going today? Mick, how about you?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Looking forward. Well, we just got the keys to the new warehouse during the week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Everything's picked up big time now. Wow. So
nice.
Within the next month, we're going to be starting to move, which is good and bad. It's good that we're moving earlier than November. Just because of Christmas and all that. But having said that, we're not prepared to move now.
Yeah. So. You're a busy boy now.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hectic, man. So after the next battle, probably next week, I might be a bit scarce for a few weeks.
Yeah, no, completely understand that. Good luck with it.
Get back into it. But, yeah, other than that, man, all good. Really enjoying curfew these days. Because it gives us time to do this every Saturday night. Yeah. So, but other than that, man, yeah, look, things could be worse and things could be a lot better, but, you know, we're somewhere in between. So
yeah, cool. And you, Tim?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, just chilling and killing as usual. There's not, there's not much that we can be doing at the moment. Everything's closed and everything's locked down, and so trying to just find useful things to do at home, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Just keeping on. Still, I'd actually, we had a quieter week with work the other day, but now it's picking up again, so I'm getting a lot more hours out of that once again and getting stuck right into editing the new format, which while it hasn't seen as much released online yet as fast as I would like, I've actually got a few files there pretty much ready to go and get released now. So I've worked out a nice little method of getting things done nice and quick now. So we'll start to see things turning around much quicker now that that's sorted out. Now I've got to work out how to clear up hard drive space on my hard drives. That's my next pressing issue, but I'll get to that one soon enough. Thinking about deleting a whole bunch of things. We'll see how we go. All right. That's pretty good. Now we're going to get into probably a more fun topic, which is inspired by Tim. We put up a post about bands going heavy, or band members, I should say, going heavy-handed on their personal social media pages, especially in the current climate with more politically based ideas and how that can impact them when it comes to sharing their band stuff. So, Tim, you have the floor.
Yeah, so the idea is more or less based on, again, as we're all in isolation and here in Melbourne, and I saw, even the rest of Australia, and things are just opening up. The idea of, we're on social media more these days.
Yeah.
And we're also, as a band members, we use our social medias a lot to promote what we're doing artistically, and coupling that with, how we use posting things that could, generate conversation in a non-musical realm, how many people enjoy it and how many people get annoyed by it, and whether or not that will affect your ability to promote music stuff on there. So, yeah, I thought it was an interesting idea and was curious to see what people thought.
So where did you land on it in the end?
I thought, I think, the important thing is to just be intelligent about things and, make sure you're well-researched, you know what you're talking about, and to type things out in, proper sentences and paragraphs, and make sure that you don't come across as a screaming lunatic. Because as soon as people see people ranting, I think people just, either scroll past or eventually just go unfollow, because again, as we're all looking down these things all day, eventually you just get bored of it and you go, I want to see something else.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, don't talk about these things because they're obviously important, but, just there's a way to go about it. Yeah. What did you guys think?
Well, Mick?
I think, look, it's all publicity is good publicity, but that's kind of obsolete these days because the world has changed with political correctness and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure a Marilyn Manson or an Alice Cooper or even a Kiss or any of those types of bands that sort of had that shock value would work in this day and age. It was a different time, You've got to be smart, like Tim said, with the way either you want to protest or you want to get your message across. And I think some of the things that people are doing are a little bit old school, as in obsolete, as in that's not the way to do it these days. For example, burning a city down to the ground. How many times can you do that and still have the same result? It's not working. So maybe you need to be a bit smarter with your actions. We have progressed in a lot of ways, technology-wise. As people or humans, I don't think we've progressed at all.
And not really.
I think those who want to push the line with, freedom of speech and all that, yes, we've always got that, but it's the way you do it and what you do with it is going to be the most impactful. What I've noticed in the last few months, whether it be here or abroad, is we're not being very smart at all, and they're wondering why authorities are doing what they're doing. I condone everything that's been going on. But having said that, their whole issue is the only way we can control it is to use force with force. Now, that's a debate in its own self, but look, you've got to be smarter with the choices you make and how you want to do things, because I don't think it's going to further your career in this day and age. Whereas once upon a time it was going to get you in the paper or get you on TV. Right now, I think what it does is makes you look more like a fool and probably hurts any of your creativity or anything that you're doing, because people are going to be turned off by your actions.
Yeah, that's partly what I mean, though, is because, again, like you said, there is a lot going on, and it is important to, talk about these things.
100%. 100% couldn't agree more, but it's how you
exactly. It's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
I can only sort of speak from my experience doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on and where people lean left, right, or whatever. There are people that I've unfollowed personally that are in bands just because I'm tired of seeing it on my newsfeed. I don't want to log into Facebook and have it be so extreme one way or the other that it's not actually a reasoned argument. I'm okay with a reasoned argument. Like you said, a well thought out piece. I'm okay with that. I'll actually respect that and go, okay, even if I don't agree with the point of view, it's a well written piece and someone's put some thought into it. Not a 5-second grab for attention that's designed to ruffle feathers. I don't think that's smart, not at the moment, with everyone being as tense as they are in general, especially here in Melbourne. And we're not even the worst place in the world to be right now, all things considered, not by a long way. So if we're all feeling it here, you can only imagine what it's like in other places that are much more impacted than we are. But I just think that, because what you made a point too, that, when it comes to the way social media works as a mechanical function, not even just as your own personal brand, but as a mechanical function, what happens is when you're posting and stuff like that, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're all designed to give you basically an echo chamber that will keep you coming back to the platform. They want to feed you back the things that you obviously like interacting with. And so if you perpetually post non-stop all day about this, when it comes time to go, oh, by the way, I've got a band and doing this, it's not going to get anywhere near as much traction as you would like. And considering on Facebook, especially the actual pages function is so throttled on reach when it comes to your pages, the use of your personal page is a really good free leg up, and people, I think, are jeopardizing that by going too hard with an unreasoned argument and creating that echo chamber effect. And it's just between people unfollowing because they're sick of it and between what it does to your algorithm feed, just don't think it's the overly smart. I think, like I said, a reason to post here and there, but 20 posts a day venting or ranting or attacking one way or the other, doesn't matter what side you're on, it's not going to help your cause at all, I don't think. I think it does a lot more to hurt your cause if you actually have
100%. I think it's more damaging, without mentioning artists that we know that have been doing things in recent time. I think they've looked a lot worse off than they have actually for the greater good. So,
especially when the people you know, and they're smarter than that, and they're more compassionate or whatever else have you, whatever reason, that they're better than that in person.
Yeah, but do we really know they're smarter? Do we? Maybe this is just really showing their true colours and everything else is a start.
The theory is that social media exposes who we are, not makes us better or worse. It just exposes us for who we are. So, yeah, maybe. Who knows?
It's still one of the great quotes. It's better to, remain silent and have people think you're dumb than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much sums it up right there, doesn't it?
That's it.
That's the good one there. All right, let's get on to some of these reviews. Let's have some fun with these. So let's move along before Mixed Battery does die on us and then we lose a member for the panel tonight. So we're going to kick off with Alarum. Circle's End, 10 tracks for 46 minutes. It's the fourth album from the Australian band, released June 2020 by Dinner for Wolves, produced by the band and Neil Kernan. This is the band's first album since Natural Causes in 2012. I'll throw to Mick first. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was really good. Very different, though. Yeah. I sort of put it down as a technical bass, funky fusion type of metal. Because some of the breakdowns and some of the just things that they've added are very not metal, if that makes sense. But it doesn't.
Jazz in there.
There's some all different things. Even the keys that we're using, it was just the sounds are really different, and but it didn't detract from what they are predominantly, which is a metal band. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. This is kind of what I wanted to hear in John Petrucci's album.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I would have liked to have heard some different elements like that, because it would have made it sound less Dream Theater. So, but yeah, this was very technical. Like some great guitar playing.
Yeah.
The only criticism, and it's not a criticism, but when they would go heavy, it sounds pretty similar to every time they go heavy. Like every song has a set formula. It's full on double kicks and bits and pieces, and I think they can add a little bit more variety to that maybe later down the track for another album or two. But that's really nitpicking. If I had to compare it to a band, I thought it had elements of Protest the Hero.
Okay, yep.
That really sort of chaotic, but melodic, sort of up-tempo metal. I thought the only thing that didn't really grab me, and this is neither here or there, but the vocals. I just thought they're okay, but because everything is so well crafted and so on the money, that I guess it's a step down the vocals. I get
what you mean. Yep.
Well, they might have been rushed or something. It felt like it could have been better in the vocal department. But having said that, they're great players, some great songs. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. The songs that stood out for me, and I'll definitely go back to this one for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Because I reckon it's one of those ones where the more you listen to it, the more you would get little bits and pieces in it for sure.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
Delta was a standout for me, Sand, and the title track, Circle's End.
Cool. Nice. Tim?
Yeah, funky, jazzy fusion metal is actually the perfect description for this.
Yep.
It's very, very wacky, but as has been covered, the playing is flawless. Songwriting is fantastic. I think they've got, there are a lot of wacky ideas here that, I don't want to say they feel like they're thrown together, but they're completely unexpected when they come in.
Yeah. But
they do serve their purpose in sort of, rounding out the full soundscape. I do agree with the vocals, though. I feel like, with the keys and some of the guitar choices throughout, some of the pieces here, with there being so much variety, the vocals do come across a little bit monotonous. I think had there been a bit more range there to match the rest of the band, then it could have just been interesting to see what they've done with it.
Yep.
I suppose having said that, though, it gives it a grounding point. So, again, what do I know? But yeah, this is fantastic. Definitely, again, if you're a prog head or anybody who gets a kick out of, crazy music, definitely check this out. I don't really have a standout, probably Circle's End, but the whole thing's pretty fantastic. 8.5 as well. This is really good.
Cool. So for a bit of background from my end when it comes to Alarum, a little bit of story time. I first became aware of this band, we're going back 20-something years ago now, via a neighbour of mine. So if anyone who's around the scene, like back in the Metal for the Brain days and things like that, there was a band called Candy Flip, and my neighbour was one of the members of that band. So Rorky, if you're watching, cheers for getting me onto this band. This band is something else entirely. It's very hard to categorise. I think my closest marker on this is something like that if Frank Zappa and Voivod had a baby, you might get this. That's kind of my thinking on this one.
Probably fair.
It's metal. It won't be to everyone's tastes. It's that real jazz fusion stuff with the metal kind of thing there. I liked the mix. I thought the mix was good. It had that sort of blend of the beauty and the brutality there. Like the brutality, I think the reason why the vocals were where they were in the mix and the tone of it was because that was like the mid-punch when everything else was so rumbly or sparkly at the bottom or the top respectively. So I thought that, but from the tones and the mix and that, I thought that was really well done. It's one of those ones.
The good thing about it, real quick, was the songs did breathe. They did sort of have mid-tempo parts. It wasn't just full-on.
It wasn't
jump into one part to another sort of thing. So that's what I liked most about it. That they knew when to pull back and just sort of ride a groove out. Because otherwise, it would have been just fucking a bunch of bits and pieces, and it would have fucking been Mr. Bungle. And I fucking hate that shit.
No, I thought, you did right. I think the ability, the composition along with the playing, like the playing is flawless and the composition to pull this off is really well done. And what they've done too is add little bits of kind of those little guitar and synth touches, just chords, just structured, just the right moment to really ring out and make it not so frantic and give you that moment to breathe, and also the space in the song. So they also do things like they had that part where you got the sea waves lapping from one song into the next, and they make things flow. Like there was a lot of attention to detail. And this is one of those records, the more you listen to it, the more attention you give it, the more you're rewarded by it. I don't normally go for this sort of stuff, but this is riveting to listen to just because of how well it's put together and how much is going on in there. It doesn't rely on being frantic for the sake of it. It really does slow things down. There's the track, I think it's Crystals, where it's like the woman singing, and it's just this really, it's like a minute and a half long, but it's just this beautiful breath of fresh air in the first sort of third of the album. It's fantastic.
I think that's where I really, picked up and went, okay, this is something on the first listen. This is something like just that little bit there that makes you pay attention.
Yeah. It was done so well and put just at the right spot too. I thought everything about this is pretty goddamn good. It's not a go-to listen for me every single day, but if you want something that's really cerebral and will, reward you the more you listen to it, this is really cool because every time I listen to this, I got dragged in more and more by it. This is one of those ones where if you like a deep dive, this is the album for you. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I picked Sand, Sojourn, War of Nerves, and also Crystals. There were some really good tracks on there, but I don't think there's a dud track because I actually think I enjoyed pretty much all of it. So there we go. From that, we're going to change gears in a big way, though. We're going to go to Marko Hietala with Pyre of the Black Heart. This is 10 tracks for 52 minutes, the debut solo album of the man most known for being a member of Nightwish and or Tarot. Released January 2020 by Nuclear Blast. It's hard to believe that this is the debut solo record from someone who started out in the early 80s. Tim, we'll go to you first on this one.
Straight off the bat, I thought Stones was a ballsy choice for an opener.
Yeah.
You generally feel like with these sort of albums that you sort of lead into a track like that. I thought it was a great opener. It really got me. After that, though, I did feel it took a while to get going. It did feel a bit samey after that on listen through. But it does pick up at the end in quite a big way. I do think, where is it? Yeah. I Am the Way and Run of the Railways, Death March for Freedom. Those tracks really do give you a good payoff at the end as well.
Yep.
Everything's recorded fantastic. Vocals are really spectacular.
Yeah.
Songwriting can be a little cliche at times with how the songs are put together, but I think if you overlook that, there's enough substance here to give you, plenty of a reward at the end, especially with those tracks at the end.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought it was pretty good. 8 out of 10 for me. It's a really good record.
Cool. Any standouts, or was it Stones for you, or something else?
Yeah, Stones, Run of the Railways, and Death March for Freedom.
Okay, cool. All right. Mick?
Yeah, this was, again, another mixture of a bunch of different sort of things that I got out of it anyway. I sort of called it folk-driven, blues-orientated rock.
Yep.
Get your fucking head around that, because
it's
I
all
can't.
there, though. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
But it was done in a way where it all sort of intertwined and flowed really well. I loved the vocals. I thought there was a lot of emotion and soul in the vocals. You really felt like he meant every word he was saying.
That was a big surprise to me. The vocals were a big surprise, a good one.
Yeah, and you don't really get that in a lot of music these days. It sort of hit the note, but without the feel or the passion. And you got this. It was that was probably the most old school element about it, which I loved, because, I miss singers that actually can sing, I thought it was a different voice. A lot of times, especially in the quieter bits, it reminded me a lot of Jeff Tate era Queensryche. Just with his tone and the way he sort of delivered and stuff like that, it sort of reminded me of him, which is not a bad thing. And, I just thought there was a heap of variety on it. It's one that I would have to go back and listen to it a couple of more times. As much as I did enjoy it, some elements didn't grab me initially on a first listen, but between the album that we just did and this one, they were very long listens too, know, and you need to dedicate proper time to take them all in.
Yeah.
I think if you're just going to skim through them or whatever, you're not going to fully appreciate Alarum and this album here.
Yep.
So you do need to give them a few listens. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
Stones for me was a standout. I thought that was a great starting song. Star, Sand and Shadow.
Yep.
Third time was a good one. And Dead God's Son.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah, they were the three that really stood out for me on a first listen. But again, I'd like to go back to this one and sort of, delve into it a bit more.
Cool. Well, as been covered off, the start of this one is ballsy and big. I like the tones on the mix from the very first ring, the opening of this thing, the tones at the start. So they're going, whoa, okay, this is going to sound really good, and it does not disappoint in that regard.
Very warm.
Yeah, really warm, lovely mix. So, the tones are beautiful. I really, really enjoyed the mix on this one. I didn't think there was much wrong with that at all. This is, if you're going to do this sort of stuff, I'd love to know who produced this one, because the credit needs to be, given where due, because this sounds fantastic. But yeah, after that, the initial tones with Marko's voice, I was like, okay, you don't hear what he's doing here, from my perspective anyway, in Nightwish. I haven't picked up on this being an element of Nightwish, and I think they should use it a bit more than they have, if you're asking me.
Does he actually, I'm not much of a Nightwish fan, but
he does sing, but he does, I think, more of the heavier vocal from recollection, right? I'd like to hear a bit more of what he's done on this. Dave would be the one to ask. Dave's the expert on that one, so I apologise to anyone that I'm getting that wrong with, but that's what I think it is from a relatively casual listener of the band. But what you were saying about the passion in the vocal, it's also in the lyrics. I love the storytelling in that side of it too. I thought that was really well done. And the melody being first and foremost is the old school trick that I really enjoyed, and how everything was built around the melody being the focus point. That was awesome. And all sort of the emotion, the hooks were there, all that sort of stuff, the riffs around that, as well as the little synth touches, it was all really well put together. I thought there was also some nice different tones and different instrument effects being used in there too, which kept the overall listen pretty interesting. Kept that ear candy, something you will pick up on multiple listens versus the first pass through. think the whole thing is just very well executed for a first-time solo album. This is one of the better ones to go out with as your first one. About the only knock, and it's not even a bad knock, is that I think maybe the track order could have been rejigged a bit, because it does tend to sort of start really strong and it just has a few flatter spots in there. When you're listening to it on a once-off, for the sort of 50-odd minutes that it goes for, it's not really that noticeable. When you put it on repeat, those flat spots really do stretch out a bit longer than they should. So it's not a big deal, but it's one of those things where I thought if they could have just rejigged the gearing of it a little bit to make it more locking you in for the full 52, I think it is, minutes duration of this one. But
yeah, around that track 4 and 5.
Yeah, and I also found a flatter spot toward the end as well, because there's a couple of longer tracks toward the very last sort of section of the album. The last 2 tracks, I think, sort of dragged it out a little bit too. They could have been rejigged a bit there. But it's a very, very nitpicky gripe. It's not a bad thing at all. Overall, this is not what I was expecting, and it's not Nightwish at all. It's not Dream Theater either. It's very different to Nightwish. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was a very good, pleasant surprise. So I enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think we're all crossing over on Stones. I think there's a reason why that was a single on this album, and it shows it's a fantastic song. So that's a standout for me. Along with, I did the same as Tim, Runner of the Railways and Death March for Freedom were my standouts on this one as well. There are some very good songs in here. But Voice of My Father was another good one too that I really enjoyed. That storytelling and that sort of emotive weight, that kind of thing was very, very cool. But now on to our main event of the evening. We'll go to Lamb of God with their self-titled. This will be interesting. 10 tracks for 44 minutes. The 10th studio album from the American band, released June 2020 by Epic and Nuclear Blast, produced by Josh Wilbur. This is the band's first, with Art Cruz on drums, who replaced Chris Adler. We'll go to Mick first for this one.
This was really good, but it's what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
What I'm liking about Lamb of God is the same thing I'm liking about Parkway Drive, and they're maturing without straying too far from who they are.
Yeah.
The songwriting, there's more little bits and pieces. Yes, it's still heavy, it's plenty of groove, and that's what you expect with Lamb of God, but there's just these transitional periods, or just some change-ups in the music and the riffing that it's only really been happening in the last probably 2 or 3 albums. I love the guest people that they've been having on the last couple of albums, at least in the last 2 or 3.
Herman Drang was a great album as well.
Yeah. No, I everything from Resolution onwards for me has been great.
Yeah.
The only criticism is that probably the first song, that intro, was a little long. It sort of took a little.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought it just needed to get going a bit quicker. But having said that, that's just a little gripe.
Yeah, that's what you're picking on,
yeah. The new drummer fits in really well.
Yeah.
He is such a great fit. It sounds like Adler. Anyway, they don't have to alter anything to what they've done. This guy just fits in real easy. I thought the production was great. I think that sometimes they can sort of be criticised, Lamb of God, for having the guitars too loud and too abrasive. At least for me, on some mixes, I thought a little pushing the boundaries a little bit too much. But this one it's loud, but it's clean and it's crisp, and it's just how you want to hear their music. I think Randy sounds phenomenal still to this day. I don't know how he keeps his vocals the way he does, because he thrashes the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
Whatever he does to maintain and look after himself, it's a testament, because he sounds the same live. It's not one of those studio tricks or whatever. He's not cooked yet.
It's amazing.
So this band still has a lot to go. And I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Cool.
I thought it was real strong. I'd love to see what they're going to do going forward, especially now they've got a new member, probably a new lease on life.
Yeah.
Just a new energy regardless. I thought it was really good. The songs for me that stood out was Reality Bath, New Colossal Hate.
Yeah.
And I love the way the album ended on the hook. That was just... Here we're still going to be an up-tempo, fast. Definitely see that one live, and it's going to have a fucking mosh pit like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But, I loved it. Keep doing what they're doing, man, because it's fucking good. So, yeah.
Cool. Tim?
I adore this band with all of my heart. See them live every time they come here, and I adore this album. This is phenomenal. I think this is. I think this is. I think this is the best album I've ever done.
Wow.
Personally.
Okay. Cool.
And I thought. And I'm one of those guys that was like, Ashes of the Wake is the best I ever got album. And then Sacrament come out. It's like, oh, Sacrament's the best I ever got album. And then it kept going and it's continued with this one. I think this is I think this band is so good that it is a shame that metal is not as popular as it once was, because this band would be in the same breath as Black Sabbath and Pantera, Metallica, and because they are just as good. And given that all those bands have done albums, Lamb of God do not. You could argue that they are much better than all of them.
Yeah, and, that's an argument there for sure.
And for a band, again, I actually think I was a huge Chris Adler fan. I've got both of his signature snares here.
Yeah.
But I think the change was for the best, because I think, again, with this album, you are seeing them, there is that Lamb of God. There is a Lamb of God style, which is that, groove metal-y Pantera with a bit of math rock thrown in.
Yeah.
Syncopation thrown in. And with this, you're almost seeing them go into more of like there are a section of this that I thought came straight off a Hatebreed album.
Yeah.
And the new guy, again, him settling it back into a 4/4 groove, just hitting that backbeat really hard, is probably a better fit than Chris Adler.
Yeah.
I thought this is perfect. This is a fantastic album. I've got fantastic start to finish. If I had to pick, highlights, I'd go with Checkmate. I'd go New Colossal Hate and Poison Dream, but they're all fantastic. And again, this is a phenomenal band. I think we're lucky to have metal bands this good between Lamb of God and Mastodon and Gojira and Ghost, and these bands that are consistently putting out fantastic albums. So
especially what this band's been through as well.
Yeah. They're it's fantastic work.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
Beautiful. All right. Well, let's go for a trifecta, because I love this as well. I loved Sermon Drang, and I was keen as all hell for when I heard this was dropping something. And when it got pushed back because of COVID, I was like, bugger, because I wanted to hear this one. This is fantastic. I love Randy's vocal delivery. There's a way he does it. It's intense, but there's this dark beauty and melody attached to it. It's not just.
He's got the ability to pitch his screams.
Yes,
and that makes scream a melody.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference to how you perceive this. It really does.
And you really saw it on Sacrament, because before that he kind of had his one on the first album. He has his one pitch, and then sort of on Ashes of the Wake he's got this low, middle, and high.
Yeah,
and eventually he can sing a melody.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
There aren't many that can do it like he does, and with the intensity to go with it is fantastic. I love his lyrics as well, and I love how you can make it out. Like, you can hear the lyrics, and it's not just growling and carrying on because that's what the song needs, but this actually has a story, and the story comes
There's no cup in the mic here.
Yeah, exactly. It's all very clear, which is very... I really appreciate the aspect of that they've done with it, because it's really important, because it adds to the delivery to hear the lyrics clearly. It adds to the emotive impact of what you're listening to. I love the rhythm on this. It's pulsating, it's hard-hitting, it's intense, but they use different space and times to things to make it so it's not a fatiguing listen. It's not overly long at the 44 minutes, but none of this is like, it's not just going at it for the sake of it. It's like you mentioned Parkway Drive, Mick, before, but I love how the bands like that are maturing as they go along, and they're using things. It not just has to be, let's be aggressive for the sake of being aggressive. They understand that less sometimes can be more when you're taking things away and giving things room to breathe. It just gives you that moment where it makes the impact when you come back in much more pronounced, which is very, very cool. I like getting that. And this one too, there's none of the generic tropes and the standard bullshit that comes with the American sort of metal core kind of stuff. There's none of the obligatory breakdowns. There's none of that.
They're an old school metal band.
Yeah.
That don't sound like an old school metal band.
That's it. They compose these things so well, and everyone's playing together. It's so cool. And I like how, along with the lyrics and the craft overall, the album flow was very cool too, and they added a bit of diversity more in the back half of this. So you get the real solid meat and potato into the front half, and then you get to play around a bit on the back half. And it all fits. It all works really well. And I liked how I love the last album, but this one is warmer and overall more rounded as a complete product than the last one too. So it's that next sort of step. You can see the steps they're taking as they're going along, which is really cool. The guest spots with Jamie Jasta and Chuck Billy work really well on this. I love this band's ability to use swing and groove. It's fucking amazing. I've yet to see this band live, unlike you two, but I want to so badly after the last few albums because it'll be so much fun. You can just see it. Like, you listen to the record and go, this is going to be so much fun to go and see. I need to go and see this band next time they come out. I think we've covered it off, but if you know and love this band, I think it's going to make you happy. If you've not really gotten into this band, this is probably a pretty bloody good place to start checking them out. Love it. I reckon it's fantastic. 8.5 out of 10 from me. I picked Resurrection Man, Bloodshot Eyes, and Reality Baths. There's a fair few different tracks to choose from, depending on your taste on our standouts there, which is cool as well. I think that's a good way to sort of start to finish off that one. We've gone out on a pretty... Like, unlike the last one, I don't think Mick was present for the last one. It was more of a downer overall. This one's much more happy. Everyone's enjoyed these releases a bit more than last time around, which is cool. We've done all right this week. All right, cool. Note to self was...
We've had a good run lately. I think we've been...
You've been doing really well.
Yeah, which is probably my longest run I've had since.
Yeah.
I'm sure the bubble's going to burst any week now. So
yeah, it'll be interesting.
I'll be able to get through this month, and then it'll be after that. So we'll see where we go.
We'll get back to normal programming and piss you off with something soon, I'm sure. That'll be what happens in the near future. All right. So as we start to round things out, I'll quickly do that plug again. So make sure you're following us on all of our social media channels. Please follow us and do all those things. Subscribe to YouTube in particular and just generally follow us. We have a lot of stuff going on. And if you want to give us any sort of support, it all does count. So check out our Patreon page for more information on that. And speaking of our supporters, thank you very much to Splitting, Screen Printing, Old Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Please do check them out. Look at what they do. And if nothing else, just give them a quick follow. It takes nothing of your time or effort or money to do that. Just give them a follow to show that we are getting through and giving them some, a better use of the reach, so to speak. Coming up soon, very soon now, we'll have a special episode which will be a battle between the solo and side projects of Rob Halford and Bruce Dickinson. We're going to be filming that this time next week, I believe, so this will be interesting to see how that goes. But for now, it's time to get on to the fun part of the week, and that is to go to the bin. So we'll go to you, Tim, first. What have you got for the bin this week?
Gildan T-shirts.
Okay.
We all know how terrible... We've all bought Gildan T-shirts before, and they're industry standard, and we all know every time we put them on that these people have never seen a human torso in their life, right?
Good tight, was it?
Always, mate. But I bought a Gildan mask, right?
Mask, okay.
From, supporting the local bands.
Yep.
This mask is fucking awesome.
Yeah?
It's the best face mask I've got.
Wow.
I don't understand how this company can do such good masks and on, a whim, and have been making T-shirts for decades and fuck them up.
That's a good point. Good question.
Gildan.
Wow. Okay. That's a
By
new
the
one.
way, Gildan T-shirts, man.
You prefer AS colour, do you?
Yeah. The AS colour.
Yeah, that's speaking to me with what I'm doing at the moment, all the printing work that I'm doing these days. All right, Mick, what have you got for the bin this week?
Yeah, because we're doing the show so often now, which is not a bad thing. I'm running out of bins, but I will say that I'm going to put corporations in the bin, or mainly our supermarkets, because I've noticed that they're crying that they haven't got stock and this and that. And as you know, I do supply some of the stuff for supermarkets.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, is what I've noticed is for every time they give you a special, they put up 4 or 5 other products within the store because, obviously we're going probably more often than we maybe used to because we don't know if we're going to be able to get the fucking shit that we want anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing that everyday items like bread and milk, and it's just getting ridiculously out of control price rise. And I just think this is what annoys me about and I can't vouch for I haven't been to every fucking country in the world, so I don't know if it's all happening everywhere, but there should be legislation on this that you cannot fucking rob Peter to pay Paul, and it goes with fuel and a few other things,
essential things.
And they keep saying they're going to get, consumer watchdogs in and all that, and it never fucking happens because you never hear anything about it.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because they're making money from it, man.
Yeah.
We're getting ripped on fucking shit, and that's not right. Necessities, everyday items, bread, milk, eggs, sugar, whatever. It shouldn't be fucked with like that.
Yeah.
Especially not in what we're going through.
It's just straight up price gauge.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just sick and tired of, we're doing this and this and this, and we're giving you savings here. But then if you walk around the store, all these other fucking things have just gone up, through the roof. And it's just like, stop lying.
Yeah.
Stop lying, because we're not stupid people. Okay. A lot of us have, I'm not saying I'm the most educated person in the world, but I do see things. I do see and I do know, and I can remember things, from last week to this week, for example. That wasn't that price.
Yep.
Why is it gone up 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 cents? It adds up. It's not right. There should be something done about it.
Yeah.
There won't be anything done about it.
No.
But we've got to. What I don't understand is why we have prime ministers and presidents of the world when they have no say on whoever's running the state, because whoever's running the state can go, I hear you, but I don't want to do that here. It's my state. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. So what's the point of having someone who supposedly runs the country but has no fucking power to do anything?
It's an interesting one. That's a big conundrum, that one. I think it's been tested with everything going on at the moment too. While Caesar's losing his mind. So, even the Don's not happy about it.
Yeah, well, yes, that's right. You tell him. Support me.
Yeah. Now, the price of dog food is a great example of that. Believe it or not, the fluctuations I get when I'm buying these guys, their food is insane. How it can be literally less than half price one week and then go double it the next. It's nuts. Not like it's going to go out of date anytime soon either. So I don't know where that comes from, but all right, well done. I guess keeping sort of on the same thing to a degree, depending on how closely you follow the political scheme here at the moment, but also the media landscape in this country in particular, which is deplorable at best. I'd like to put 3 individuals in the bin, in Alex White, Rachel Baxendale, and Alice Workman. When you change the narrative from talking about, whatever you don't agree with Daniel Andrews about, and that's fine, disagree. I don't really have any skin in the game in that regard. But when you make articles about his wife blocking you on Twitter, that's just completely fucking irrelevant. It has no concept, no bearing at all in the conversation that we need to be having day to day on how we're doing things. So that's just, to me, desperation to be relevant and to create a story from something out of nothing kind of thing. It's just nonsense. And people wonder why faith in journalism is so low in this country. There's a prime example. So the 3 of you, fuck off, in the bin. Anything you publish now, I'm not even going to look at, because it's not going to be worth entertaining what little, intelligence I have. I'm not going to waste on that. So it's just really pointless to drag it like that. I couldn't believe when I saw it. Even got on Sky News and talked about it, which was just nuts. So while I'm at it, Peter Creighton, fuck off too. She's a piece of work anyway, but anyway, that's my bin. The journalism standards in this country have really gone through the floor in the last decade or two, I should say.
I think that's a global pandemic in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely feeling you on that one. All right. Well, out there, make sure you let us know in the comments what you think of all the albums we talked about tonight, as well as the hot topic at the start about, bands on their individual social media channels and how much it relates to, have you unfollowed people and all sort of stuff because of this stuff going on, and how much do you think it impacts how much you follow the band as well. Not talking about unfollowing band page, that's a different thing together. It's just the individuals. But yeah, and the albums. Let us know your thoughts on this and the format and everything else we're doing at the moment as well, and make sure you're following us to keep up to date with everything coming up very soon. But we will be back again in a few days. Until then, though, I'm Andrew.
I'm Mick.
I'm Tim.
We'll see you soon. Until then, as always,
Drink up.
Rock on.
Cool.
Actually, can you stick around for like 5? Because I want to try it back on the PC again.
Yeah. I've got time. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to get out of here because I've got like 8%. So I'm glad.
Yeah, cool. At least we got it done before your phone died. That's right.
That's it. Yeah. All right, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, cool, man. I've got it here.